I'm so happy because I'm a gummy bear, gummy bear.
What do you see? I don't see bears. I see cows. Specifically, gelatin that is derived from cows, which is derived from the collagen structure of proteins using connective tissue, most notably cartilage, which is a smooth form of, well, connected tissue that despite its texture is very durable. So durable that it makes the structure of one of nature's most resilient and robust animals, sharks. Yes, a gummy bear is made out of the same stuff as a great white shark, to some extent. Most gelatin, after all, is a byproduct of other industries reliant on livestock. People love gummy bears, but not as much as they love steaks and burgers. By boiling cartilage off meat, you can dissolve it in water and then cool it and create meat jelly. That sounds gross because, as Eddie Hong put it, gelatinous food with a savory texture is repulsive to the Western palate. However, it is quite common in East Asia in various forms. Don't blame us Westerners though, the most well-known gelatin dish isn't a dessert, it's aspic, these monstrosities. I should have added a vomit warning to the title. The widespread use of gelatin dates back to the Middle Ages. During the Islamic Golden Age, it was not uncommon for people to eat fish head aspic. There was also quite a lot of jellied meat broth in much of medieval Europe. However, during the early modern period, the poor would oftentimes boil cartilage to salvage any protein they could, out of what remained from cheaper cuts of meat. Keep in mind that eating meat was in many ways a luxury to begin with. However, there would be other uses of gelatin that weren't quite as, let's just say, unappetizing. To the southeast and the Ottoman Empire laid the precursor to what are now known as Turkish delights. These delights used gelatin along with nutty, fruity, and sweet flavors rather than savory flavors. The association with Jell-O and savory dishes did not help its reputation in the West, but by the time of the Industrial Revolution, processing gelatin en masse was made much easier, as well as artificial flavorings, namely fruit flavorings. The jelly bean was in part inspired by Turkish delights due to their squishy texture and fruit flavors. The most iconic based gelatin dish, if you could call them that, is Jell-O, founded in 1897. The brand has been around for over a century and a quarter, even though it's currently owned by Kraft Food Brands, the mega corporation. At the time, American dessert preferences and candy were moving away from floral flavors to fruity ones. With lower transportation costs and eventually refrigeration, people wanted flavors like strawberry, orange, lemon, along with some sugar. These products were made out of cool colors as well, which made them more appetizing. Jell-O became one of the most iconic brands of post-war America. Some see it as a great icon of America at its peak, summed up in its jelly goodness. Others see it as a hallmark of outdated, hyper-processed food of the post-war era, alongside Spam, cornflakes, and Twinkies. Today it tends to be considered a dessert for children and the elderly, and I guess Bill Cosby advertising their pudding didn't help either. I wonder if he put Quaaludes in it. Anyway, in the modern day, in a more pluralistic society, gelatin manufacturers in the West have made considerations for Jewish and later Muslim populations which refuse to consume some gelatin from pigs. One religious group that has taken a liking to gelatin desserts are the Mormons. Mormon culture, with its restrictions on alcohol, smoking, and even caffeine, lends to indulgences in sugar. Moving on to more important matters, gelatin has also been used for the capsules of life-saving medication. And speaking of civilizational altering inventions, the aforementioned gummy bear was and still is based off of gelatin. Invented in Germany, home of the famous Haribo gummies, which I'm mispronouncing, by the 1960s, the company was the first to produce gummy bears by using gelatin, sugar colorings, and fruit flavorings. Other variations of gummies came, such as worms, sharks, fuzzy peaches, green frogs, Coca-Cola, etc. And those berries are damn good, by the way. They became a massive hit, flying off the shelves on both sides of the Atlantic and soon much of the world. And in many ways, they are the closest thing fat diabetic kids get to fruit these days. Another gelatin-based treat, dating all the way back to ancient Egypt, that got a revamp, is the marshmallow. Once made from the mallow roots on the banks of the Nile River, which produce a squishy texture. These ingredients were eventually replaced with modern-day gelatin, which is much easier to mass produce. After all, the story of gelatin tells us of one ingredient which was once relegated to pork, and people in their desperate need to salvage whatever scraps of nutrition they could find, no matter how gross or disgusting it was, and eventually turned it into something that was mass produced, cheap, and oftentimes eaten as an indulgent dessert, which in most cases has no nutritional value. But who cares about nutritional value when you have gummies?